Welcome to video number 3 about using masks in Procreate. In this video I am going to tell you about layer masks, which are the most complicated and trickiest to understand of the masks that are possible in Procreate, but that also makes them the most versatile and powerful. I personally don't need to use them a lot because I tend to mostly go with my watercolor approach, and my cartoons are pretty simple, so I don't need to apply a lot of extra techniques. But the bonus with layer masks is that you can apply different coloring techniques onto the same area really quickly, but keep each technique separate. And I guess that is the great value of them. So let's go and have a look. The best way that I can explain what a layer mask is to describe it as a stencil. So you remember that mad decorating craze where you would take something like this and you would stick it hard against your wall, hold it down as tight as you can, and then dab with a brush into the gaps. And when you very carefully took it away, if you were lucky and you hadn't smudged, you would get these crisp, sharp places where the paint had gone through the card, and you would be left with that pattern on your wall. So effectively, a layer mask is like being able to tap on any layer and saying to Procreate, make me a stencil out of whatever's on this layer so that I can just paint that shape again and again and again without having to worry about going outside the lines. So if we go and have a look at this piggy, if we look in the layers, you'll see we've got these two layers. I've got the pink layer and I've got the outline layer. Now imagine that I want to be able to replace the color. We know we can do that with a clipping mask anyway, but what if I wanted to be able to add layer after layer of possible effects to it? And I didn't want to put all the effects in one layer because the clipping mask, you can only have one clipping mask per layer, whereas with a layer mask you can create a number of different ones. So let's say we want to select the pink area and we want to tell Procreate to make us a stencil of it. What we're going to do is make sure that we're in the pink layer, tap on select, and instead of using freehand, which is what we've used up to now to kind of draw around a particular area and then move it around the canvas, we're going to select automatic. And then just tap very softly. Well, that's not happened. If you see blue all around like that, it means it's selected the whole layer, so we don't want that. Now, what I would go and do is go back to my layer manager, swipe left on inserted image, and say duplicate. And because I said duplicate while I had that selected, it has created me a new image, but just of that selected part. So effectively, the background of that image is see-through, as if it's not there. And now I tap on the duplicated one and I choose mask. And you can see it's automatically put a layer above, and it's all black except for the piggy-shaped bit. So that is effectively my stencil. The black is the plastic or cardboard bit that the paint won't show through or won't go through onto the wall effectively, and the white is the cutout section where the paint could go through. So what I would do, I'm going to tap on inserted image and I'm going to untick it because I don't want to be confused by what's happening in that layer. We're going to ignore that layer now. And within this, I'm going to call this my mask layer, okay, mask basis. What I'm going to do here is say clear, okay. So now effectively it's got rid of everything in that layer except the little white marks that you're kind of noticing, and it's left the mask. So what we can, where we do the work now is in this mask basis layer. So let me choose a color, and I'm going to choose a brush, my watercolor brush, and then I'm going to paint like crazy in here. Okay, so here I am painting at 20% in here, and I can take it all the way down to the edge like this. Works for me. I can keep painting, And then I can say, okay, I'm done here. That's fine for that layer. Now I want to quickly put a different effect on this, or add some shadows, say. So what I can do is go here and say duplicate. And now it's duplicated that mask for me again. So I'm going to say mask basis. I'm going to rename this one. Let's just call it 2, all right? So that we don't get confused. And again, I'm going to say clear. And that gives me a blank canvas to work on here. And I'm going to go and choose, let's say I'm going to choose this dark blue. Well, let's try this. I'm going to go for retro. I'm going to go for newsprint. Let's try this. Ah, now that's showing up. So now I've got this newsprint effect coming through on my layer. And now if I wanted to, I could go and say duplicate one more time. Let's call this one 3. And now let's say I want to, I'm going to put a little bit of white. Let's go with white, and then I'm going to go for back to my watercolor brush, and it's at 10%, and I'm going to put my white here. So I'm putting white on the top of the head here. Effectively, I'm kind of rubbing out. Let me take it up a bit further so we can actually see what's happening. So I'm kind of rubbing out a bit of a glow on the head here, and on the top of the nose, and maybe on the ears like this. So it's as if the light is kind of coming down onto the top of the piggy there. So let's have a look at what I've done. I started off with my inserted image here, and I used that to create a stencil. Then let's call this 1, because that's just going to be much easier to understand. Then we went to 1 and we said, okay, let's clear out all that pink, which was just the basis that we started with. And now I actually want it to be this watercolored pale lilac-y purple. And once I'd done that, I said, all right, now I want to add an effect on the top of that. So I swiped left on 1 and I duplicated, and it created another 2 layers, basically layer number 2, as we called it here, and a layer mask that relates to that. So working within layer 2, I then added the newsprint dots effect with that brush. And then I said again, swipe left on 2 and duplicate again, and it created for me what we called layer number 3 and the related layer mask. And within that, you can see in the thumbnail, I went and put this kind of white glow on to show what's happening with my pig with the lighting coming from the top. So I've effectively ended up with 3 layers, which I could do really quickly, working on each layer. Kind of the colors, the purple, the newsprint effect, and the white glow have all ended up looking as if they work together on the same color, but they're on separate layers. So if I want to get rid of one or I mess up one, I haven't damaged anything else. So this is the least destructive, most versatile way of working with layers. And really the only drama you might run into is if you run out of layers. But I certainly have never come anywhere close to bumping up against the upper edges of a how many layers Procreate allows me to have. So I don't think that is a major problem. And then as you can see, this layer on top, this is our outline layer. It continues to act completely independently of everything going on underneath it. So that is layer mask for you. And that brings us to the end of the mask section.